The Quintessential Podcast is proud to announce that we have a new presenting sponsor, Axia Time. Axia Time is a really cool watch company focused on ultra custom watches to commemorate life's greatest accomplishments. Watches whose styling and quality match the significance of the accomplishments they represent. Axia Time is also partnered with all the leading lacrosse organizations to create all-American timepieces for high school boys and girls and college men and women. Axia Time even creates timepieces for elite awards like the Tewaaraton and Naismith. If you're interested in a high-quality, Swiss-made timepiece to commemorate a great accomplishment, you need to check out their designs at axiatime.com. That's AXIA time.com. If you're celebrating a team achievement like a state championship, national championship, or even world championship, you have to check out the timepieces they created for teams like Jesuit Dallas, the University of Maryland, and even the USA U21 World Champions. We've got a very special guest this week on the Quintessential Podcast. CJ Kirst joins us live from Ithaca, New York. Listed as a senior at Cornell, Tewaaraton finalist from a year ago. CJ, should we refer to you as a senior, a fourth year? Like, what's the official word?
Yeah, I guess I'm a senior, but I am returning to Cornell next year. So
you are okay. Is that news?
No, that's always been the plan. So this has technically been this is going to be my third year playing. So next year will be the fourth.
Next year will be the fourth. Will you graduate and then take graduate classes, or do you have to postpone that?
No, I'm still going to be an undergraduate student.
Oh, cool. Okay, so that makes it pretty simple because I thought there might be something to talk about here in terms of where you're going to finish your career.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Yep, just stay.
Was that an easy decision? Was that a tough decision?
Yeah, no, it was super easy. My freshman year, that winter break, they canceled the season for the Ivy League for the second time, and that's when majority of the team took the spring semester off. So I end up getting that semester back, and I will be applying for a ninth semester. So I'll stay here for the next fall and spring as well.
Ivy League official practice is starting February 1st. That's this Thursday. I've got my first game on Saturday at noon on ESPN Plus, Denver Hopkins. I know later in the day we have on the ACC network, Clark and Cotter will be at Vermont and Syracuse. There's about a dozen games. You'll have practice Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you're not going to, will you make the drive over to Syracuse and watch that game in person?
Unfortunately not. We actually have our first scrimmage this weekend against Marist. So that'll be, first quick turnaround to get the season going right away. But yeah, great first test for us.
How have the captains' practices been?
They've been great. Yeah, we got here, middle of January, and it's definitely been a good test for our leadership. The rules kind of changed a little bit. We're not allowed to be with our strength coach, like the past couple of years. So, us seniors and us captains have to lead the lifts and workouts on our own. And, we also got to bring the whistle out and run the practices as well. So, it's been a good first couple of weeks. So excited to, get back on the field with the coaches and officially get going.
You can get direction from Coach Busick and Coach Stevens in terms of what they would like you to do during practice, but you sit down and draw up the practice plan?
Yeah, so that's what it's kind of been like for the past couple of weeks. We've been able to have individual sessions with the coaches for about an hour. We've only had a couple of those, but the coaches definitely put their input on what we're drawing up. We're trying to ease our way back into it, but we're trying to get active and try to prepare ourselves for honestly our scrimmage on Saturday. So
as the best player on the team, as one of the leaders, do you find yourself at this stage maybe spending a little more time with the young guys, with the freshmen, and making sure they understand how you want things done, how things are done at Cornell?
Yeah, definitely. I think my freshman year, I learned that pretty quickly, where my locker was right next to John Piatelli, and I got to see him operate every single day. And, he was a captain, and I got to see the way that he interacted with the other seniors and as well as my class and, the other freshmen. So, when I think about being a senior, which, is pretty wild to me, I really had to mature quickly. And this fall was definitely, a little change of pace for myself. You got to make sure that you're laying the foundation right for the freshmen and all the younger guys. So, I think my class and, the fifth years who are here did a great job with that. So, we're just going to continue it on this spring semester and into the season.
coming off a year, you scored, I think, 65 goals, had nearly 20 assists in 15 games. 15 caused turnovers, too. That's one per game. Not bad. How'd you spend your summer?
Yeah, this summer I actually had the opportunity to go up north and play a little bit of box for the Mimico Mountaineers in Toronto, which was an unreal experience. So I'm super happy that I did that.
Tell me about it. Did you live with another player that you know, and what were the benefits? What were the challenges?
Yeah, so I got to live with a teammate of mine, Andrew Dalton. Unfortunately, he aged out of junior A box lacrosse. So, I was doing a lot of my own, but his family and his support, I couldn't thank that family enough for that opportunity. But yeah, it was great. Got to play all the positions honestly in box. Got to take face-offs. Got to play a little bit of defense, transition. And obviously got to stay out there on the offensive end. And it was great just learning a new game. Honestly, I didn't get to play a lot of box lacrosse growing up. Played a couple club tournaments here and there, but it's definitely just a different culture. And I know my brothers are going through it right now in the NLL. So being able to have their guidance and their voice to bounce ideas off of them, and not only my teammates as well. Our captain was Finn Thompson, obviously a great player for Syracuse. So, I really looked up to him and tried to bite his ear as much as I could every single practice, every single game, and just try to see what he's seeing, because in the field game, it's so easy to, think that it's just a one-on-one matchup where you can try to get to the middle and get a shot off. But, when you're playing in the pick game and two-man game, you got to think about it a little bit differently. So yeah, definitely my IQ grew a lot, and I was definitely humbled up there for sure. So it was a great experience overall.
There's tremendous benefits for putting yourself in those uncomfortable and new situations. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
What was Toronto like?
It was great. So I got to actually get an internship, with a Cornell lacrosse alum, Jesse Gamble, who's still playing for the San Diego Seals. And, he works alongside Mr. Donville, so John Donville's dad. So every single day we were talking lacrosse, which was awesome. And I actually got to work in downtown Toronto. So got to, train in every single day with Andrew Dalton, who worked in an office building not too far away. So I got to walk the streets of Toronto, go to a Blue Jays game, check out the NHL Hall of Fame. It was great. So super lucky for that experience, and can't thank the Donvilles and Jesse Gamble enough for that opportunity.
CJ played at Delbarton in New Jersey, one of five boys. Did you chase some of your older brother's PLL games last summer?
Yes, got to go to a couple. I got to go to the one at Homewood where they all none of them played against each other, so it was awesome. Got to stay for all their games, so it was great.
Connor, it's amazing how he has changed his body and his role with formerly known as the Whipsnakes, I guess to the Maryland Whipsnakes now. Colin now becoming a starter for the Cannons. But Cole, to me, really turned he caught, I mean, unbelievable what he did this summer. Just the positivity he added to that group, and then his production. What surprised you most, or what caught your eye most about watching your three older brothers this summer?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't really surprised too much. I knew their moment was going to come. Cole specifically, I know how hard he works. I look up to all three of my brothers, but this summer I got to text Cole every single day about what he was doing, and it was kind of like a little accountability partner. And he was in Syracuse for a bit at the beginning of the summer, finishing up school, and he had the opportunity to work out at Platform Lacrosse. Shout out to Platform, Dylan Donahue's indoor facility. And, he was in there every single day, would go at night, go in the morning. And, I know how hard he was working, and I was just super fired up to wait for his time to come. And I knew when we got out there, he was going to succeed. And same thing with Connor and Colin. I get to see them operate not only when they started in college, when I got to look up to them as a middle schooler or a high schooler. I got to see how they operated every single day and how much they can impact the team, not only with the way they play the game, but their personalities. And that's something I really admire. And clearly it showed with Cole's personality, winning teammate of the year. I think that's just a culmination of, not only the way the kind of character that they have and they carry, but, the way they operate on the field.
Is Cole still at Syracuse?
No, Cole's home right now playing for the Halifax Thunderbirds and California Redwoods. So yeah, he's, working hard in the indoor game and obviously the outdoor game as well.
but from home,
Yes.
Jersey. Is Colin at Tufts again?
No, Colin works for lax.com and lives in
Oh wow.
Morristown, New Jersey. So yeah.
Okay. What is Connor in Las Vegas? I can go over 3 here.
Yep, yeah. Connor's in Las Vegas playing out there, working real estate. So yeah, he's crushing it out there, and I'm sure he's trying to, figure out to come back to the East Coast and be with all of us. I know he definitely misses us, but yeah, he's crushing it out there in Vegas.
And then younger brother Caden, I have as a senior right now, all signed, sealed, and delivered to go to Rutgers. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah, just had his official visit, last or 2 weekends ago to Rutgers. So he's super fired up for that.
How often do you get home to shoot on him?
This winter break, he likes shooting with his buddies a little bit more than myself. But
Really? I wonder why.
Colin and I, got out there a couple times with them. So yeah, it was a good time.
I got so much respect for your mom, Michelle. I lost my dad when I was 18, when I was a senior in high school. You were a little younger, but to see your mom persevere and fight through it with a handful of young men, she's done an amazing job. How is she doing?
She's doing great. She's home, and I know she's super excited for the spring season. I know it brings her so much joy. I know we have so many other people to thank as well. And she tries carpooling with as many people as she can, and just try to make all of our games, because she knows how important that is to us, to see her out in the stands. So those family members that I can thank, Mr. Trebus, Mr. Myers, Mr. Farrell, all of them, putting in the effort to text my mom and tell her how much that they mean to her and how much they mean to us. So yeah, it's just remarkable having that circle to lean on back in Bernardsville.
Yeah, it takes a village. For me, my dad had a heart attack when I was a senior in high school, midway through the winter, and passed away. I have 2 older brothers, 1 younger sister. For you, a big family, younger at the time, your dad Kyle was a coach and a former player at Rutgers, and kind of a mainstay in Jersey in terms of the lacrosse world. When I got to college, I felt socially and academically it really hit me. I was not my best. Lacrosse wise, I was always fine. Lacrosse was my haven. Lacrosse never changed. Sports never changed. And being in the locker room was great, because I had incredible support from my teammates, many who were going through a similar situation with a divorce or the loss of a parent or something that hit the family. How have you and your brothers, you guys have just battled through losing your dad. It's incredible to watch. I find it inspiring. How have you guys done it? Like, what if, I see a lot of athletes that have a similar fate happens to them. They lose a parent or a sibling, and I kind of gravitate to them, and I'm always looking for advice. Like, how have you gotten through this, what appears to be so well?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. First of all, and I guess talking about my family, lacrosse has always been our safe space. I remember in middle school when I was going through that specifically, playing sports and being around my teammates and being around my friends was, whatever took my mind off everything outside. And I think my brothers would say the same. And we're all so similar, where in that aspect where we just want to be around our friends and be around our teammates. So because it's never about us, it's always about the people around you. And I think that's something my mom has really instilled in us. It really goes a long way when you reach out to the other people, when you never really know what's going on in their lives. Although, something super unfortunate happened to my family, you gotta, think about the other people that, are all could be going through the same thing. When you really do that, it's really, it's a testament of your culture, or your character. And, people really understand that. And, when you impact them and impact their lives, such similar as my dad did, and learning from that, that it really goes a long way. And just lacrosse specifically, being in college, and it's funny, in our Cornell lacrosse locker room, we have a sign that you have to touch every single time you come in and come out that says, "I'll give my all for Cornell today." And when you touch that sign, you don't think about the homework that you have going on, or you don't think about what you have going on socially. you clock in and you think about the people around you and those 50 guys in the locker room and you know, and our coaches upstairs. So that's always been my mentality. Every single time I touch that sign, you know, it's never about myself. It's always about the people next to me. And I'm just super fortunate to have, you know, 50 of my best friends that I get to interact with every single day who, you know, can put a smile on my face and, you know, change my day around, you know, in a second. So I'm just super blessed to be in the position that I am in today. And I know Connor, Colin, Cole, Caden would all say the same. You know, they've all had very similar experiences at their respective universities. So, you know, we're just super fortunate for the position that we are in today, and you know, the universities that we went to.
Interesting. I've got some goals that I set for myself for this year, and they're going to be very similar to your goals. I'm guessing here. The first one on my list, and it's something that I've always admired about you and your brothers, is you guys play with a genuine enthusiasm. It's like, to think about anyone who's ever been good at sports, or even for me in TV, like broadcasters, like there's got to be a genuine enthusiasm. Where do you think that spark in you comes from? That genuine enthusiasm to get out there in the 28-degree temperature today in Ithaca and throw the ball around and have a great practice? Enthusiasm.
Something that I learned when I was younger was play with passion. You know, and I saw how much, you know, my dad impacted me when I was younger, but just, you know, giving someone a high five and just screaming. You know, I think that's something Cole does a great job of, you know, and when he's around when you're around your teammates, you know, and you can just get them fired up and, you know, put a smile on their face. I think that, you know, not only impacts the way you play, and you get outside yourself, but I think that impacts the people around you. So just playing with that passion and, you know, finding that love for the game, where, you know, you practice so much, you work so hard, you know, in the dark, and, you know, when the lights come on and, you know, it's finally game time, just show your enthusiasm for your teammates and, you know, find that passion within yourself. It's only going to elevate your game and the people around you that much more.
It's amazing. Last summer, you know, I get to go to a lot of these PLL practices, and one thing I noticed different from the college, or elevated, I should say, from the college game, is how everyone's engaged. The talk is off the charts. Like these offenses, the talk and the chatter is constant. That brings sets up like a certain competitiveness to all the drills. Like nobody wants to lose a drill. That's the difference between pro and college. You start playing against pros and you're doing what you think is a routine one-on-one ground ball drill, two-on-one drill, whatever, shooting. Like it's intense. Nobody wants to lose. That's something I sense in your brothers, the fact that they're constantly engaged in the now, and you're the same way. It's like you're not distracted by anything. When you're on the field, your focus is on the ball, like locking in that way. How do you describe that ability to lock in?
Yeah, I would say the ability to lock in, you know, not only just comes from, you know, repetition and, you know, continuous practice, but, you know, growing up, I got to play tons of other sports, you know, where, I was playing football and I you know, playing inside linebacker as a youth football player. And, you know, you got to learn a different way to play that game. And then in the winter season, I would play basketball, you know, and now obviously in the spring playing lacrosse. So, you know, my mentality always switched around, growing up. And, you know, when it comes to getting older and just focusing on lacrosse, you know, it's just that next play mentality where, you know, if you miss that one shot, you're going to get the next one. And I know the next one's going to go in, or, you know, you get the ball and you know, you get stripped. I don't think about that moment of losing the ball. I think about the next opportunity and the next dodge. And, you know, I'm super fortunate to have Coach Busick and my teammates who, you know, have that belief and that trust in me where, you know, I know I'm going to just make that next play, and that next play mentality. I think it just elevates my game so much more, you know, and I'm super lucky to, you know, have my teammates around me who, you know, give me that pat on the back and go get the next one. And, you know, now being a leader and trying to instill that trust in the other 5 guys around me, you know, I think that's just only going to elevate our group that much more and stay locked in, for that full 60 minutes.
Next item on my list is do the work. I enjoy doing this work. I chose to do this. This is a dream come true for me. You're a guy who does the work. What's the important work? What's overrated work? Like when you sit down and analyze your game, saying, I need to work on this. Take me through the concept of work.
Yeah. So this fall, you know, I think I got to, you know, grow up as an offensive leader. You know, where last spring I got to, you know, lean on a couple guys, but this fall I knew that I definitely had to, you know, have a little bit of a bigger voice. And I think that started with honing in on my game. So I would get the notepad out, which is something I never did in the past 2 years, when watching film, and, try to jot down little notes for myself. When I'm in this position, I should think about this, or, when this scenario is happening, maybe I could think about having a different read. I think just having those open conversations with Coach Busick as well, where it's just straight up honesty, talking about certain situations and super or specific moments where, I think we could be a little bit better at. And, he definitely tells me the truth as well, shoots it to me straight. So, I think just trying to think about those moments when watching film is super key, and doing the work on the field, especially that's where it all matters. So getting up early, maybe before class, and, grabbing my stick and going to the locker room, hitting the wall, or going to shoot, or, texting a couple guys and going to get an extra lift in during the day. I think that's just something that not only is just so much fun, and, everyone enjoys, and that's what you're really going to remember, but, it's only going to elevate your game that much more. And I think that's something this senior class that we have, I think that's something we really definitely took to another level this year, compared to my past 2 years, where, the extra work always doesn't have to be head down, do the hard thing 24/7. You can find joy in it. And I think that's where those successful teams are, is, when you can find joy in being out there in full sweatsuit, in the morning and middle of January. I think that's where you're going to find success. If you can do that then and have some fun with it, it's only going to help you that much more when the season continues.
You mentioned film, and I want to ask you, so you're grabbing clips. Do you typically find them beneficial to be eyes that maybe you didn't see at the time, or like what's the biggest plus you find from film? Is it reading scenario, saying, well, I threw the ball to X here, and in fact I should have skipped it through, or I didn't see that the guy was open coming off? Like, how does film typically benefit you?
Yes, it's definitely reading different scenarios. Being on the left wing for majority of the offensive set, and being able to go lefty and righty. There's so many different looks that you miss within a split second. And I think that's something I learned in the box game this summer, where if you're carrying the ball low, someone's definitely going to be open on the backside up top. Because the defense has to slough in and respect you. So when you can just think about those little moments, and and you see them on film, it looks so simple, but going out there and writing down when maybe a moment, like if I have the stick in my right hand and I'm going towards that right pipe, someone is always C curling or front swinging is what we like to call it. And there's always going to be a guy in the middle, playing a guy in the high slot and a guy in the low slot on that back pipe. So, just ingraining that in my head that, these are the reads I'm supposed to make. I shouldn't just always be looking at the goal or looking at the X guy. So just thinking about those little moments, and there's so many different ones that go on within a possession that you don't realize when you're on the field. But when you sit down and watch those 60 seconds of the possession, there's so much more out there, and I can just put that in my brain and, and go do it the next practice. I think that's only going to elevate my game that much more.
You mentioned being a great teammate. My greatest growth after college was becoming a better teammate now in my professional life. I wasn't a great teammate when I played college lacrosse. It was selfish. It was a goalie. I've learned to be a much better teammate. And really, that's my biggest goal when I go do shows now. Having Paul Carcaterra jump on our shows about a decade ago, at first I was like, wow, this, I can't, it's going to be hard to run a two-man game now. I'm so used to the solo game. And it took me about a year. And I realized, like, wow, not only are we better, but I am better. And like to embrace that. And so now that it taught me such a valuable lesson. My biggest goal when I do shows now is to go, and whatever my role is, be a great teammate. I want to ask you, how, as a college student, it's not always easy to impact the behavior of your peers, to impact the behavior of guys on your team who may have different expectations of what this is going to be like. And I always found it difficult. I had a solid core, guys I could go lift with, guys I could go shoot with, guys who would stay after practice. And there were some who were not in that business, quite honestly. And I struggle with that. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So first of all, when I was getting recruited here, Coach Busick came to my house and gave me the hard hat book. Or tells the story of George Boyardi and 21 Ways to Be a Great Teammate. And I learned that was what Cornell was all about. So when I first stepped foot in that locker room, there's that picture of George, and there's George's locker right next to me. And I think about some of those lessons that I learned in that book. But then I think back to, the present time, and I just think about the older people, the older players and teammates that I had these past 2 seasons, and how not only they impacted me and my teammates, but I just saw how they operated. There's so many guys I can name, but in specific, John Piatelli, Joe Bartolotto, Dom Doria, Joe Wolf. Those guys are people that I came in the locker room, and they may not always be doing the most on game day or scoring all the goals or picking up all the GBs. But, I know those guys who were smiling, bringing the energy, and doing whatever it took to have the best practice that day. And being an 18-year-old freshman, a 19-year-old sophomore, and learning that, it's just how much they impacted not only the way I operated every single day, but how they how it impacted the operations of my teammates. And I know the coaches do such a great job of instilling those key points from the hard hat in us. But at the end of the day, it's just those 50 guys in the locker room joking around, trying to put a smile on each other's face. And then when you go out on the field, you're beating each other up. It doesn't matter, because after you're just going to give each other a fist bump, tell them I love you, and go on with your day. So, it started with, reading the hard hat during my recruiting process, and then learning from those older guys throughout that journey.
That's a John Gordon book. He's been on this podcast before. He'll be on this podcast in about 2 weeks. He's super busy right now, touring the country, giving speeches for all sorts of corporations. And John's a wonderful guy, and I'm so glad that he was able to boil that down. Because Cornell's culture is special, and for him to put that in writing, kind of quantify it, and then others can benefit from it is kind of what I think is so cool, because it's one of the best cultures that I know in college sports. It's got a history. It's got a certain responsibility when you go there, right? I mean, you feel that, right?
Yes, definitely. You think about it from the top down, where you think about Coach Moran, what he started here, and then you think about Eamon McNaney. Then you think about some of those older alumni like Mike French, who still, sends me texts before and after games. And, and we just got back when we first, before we got back to school, we had an alumni event in the city, where we got to have dinner, and it was a networking event. And it brings everyone so much joy just being together and being in the same room, getting to say hi to some of the guys who graduated in 2019, like Jake McCulloch, Fleet Wallace, to, the guys, recent graduates, like Luca Tria, Dom Doria, who I mentioned earlier. And then, you just think about so many people who care so much about this program, and put so much into it. Every single day when you touch those signs and those plaques outside the locker room, you just think about those guys who, put the time in before you. And at the end of the day, it's so much more about yourself. It's all about those people who came before you. And, I know Coach Stevens is someone who talks about that a lot, and for the Alumni Association, we have Andy Phillips to thank for that, who was constantly emailing us and telling us to reach out to these alumni who are cheering us on every single game day. So, the long red line is something that I know every single player in this locker room is super thankful for, and that's who we're playing for every single time we're on that field.
Saturday at noon, I'll be on ESPN Plus. It's Denver Hopkins. Later in the day at 4, it's Vermont and Syracuse on the ACC Network with Chris Cotter and Clark. You're going to be scrimmaging Marist. Break down the year. Like, how do you approach it? It's a long, obviously for the Ivies, it's a little shorter, but it's a long year. I mean, you want to play on Memorial Day. That's not exactly around the corner. It's a lot of weeks. Like, in your mind, do you break down preseason 1 week at a time? Do you keep it Saturday to Saturday? How do you effectively get through the season?
Yeah, when my freshman year, when I was super excited to just play lacrosse and play a game again, I was super nervous, for those big games, and especially those Ivy League matchups. But something Coach Busick really instills in us is honing in on that specific day and winning the day. So when you break that down, and especially today, I'm just trying to win the Monday. When I go out to practice later, I'm going to try to win every rep. So when you really break it down, and you can't win a game on Saturday if you don't win Monday. So that's something Coach Busick always says. And I know it's going to be a long season ahead of us, and we definitely have a really hard schedule. But just trying to win every single day, and I know that'll help us in the long run.
Do you write things down, CJ? Do you have like a calendar or a training log, or what should young high school student athletes be doing right now to get ready if they want to play college?
Yeah, I definitely have a training log. A couple summers ago, when my brother Cole and I were training for the USA World Games, I started writing down every workout that I did. And I knew that those 2 months in those summer leading up to the games, when I got to look down at those couple pieces of paper of my shooting workout or my wall ball routine or that lift I did that day. It just jogs back memories, and it puts that thought in my head that I'm ready for every moment, and I'm gonna be ready for that big moment, that moment that I'm gonna be in. So it puts that belief and that trust in myself that I'm gonna succeed when that time comes. So I think the training log is definitely something that I would definitely tell younger players to begin doing, because I definitely wish I did a little bit earlier. But I think it's only going to elevate everyone's game that much more.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's something I started as a high school wrestler with training log, even the diet log for that sport that carried over. And I just found that when you put stuff in paper and you map out your week, whether you're doing lifting on Monday, Wednesday, you can do some extra shooting on Tuesday, maybe Thursday, you're going to do some diet, whatever. If you mapped it out and wrote it down, there was a much greater chance that you'd actually do it. And then the affirmation, the confidence that comes from looking at this thing and saying, wow, I put in the work.
Yep. Yeah, definitely raises your confidence.
Well, I can't wait to watch you play this year. I think the Ivy League is going to be fascinating. I think it's a pack of pretty close, evenly matched teams. That's going to be fascinating. You guys have really raised the bar at non-conference. You got some killer games this year.
Yeah, definitely. We got Syracuse back on. We added Notre Dame again. So, super excited to play those teams, and especially the Ivy League, like you said, who all return a lot. So it's definitely going to be a couple of good and big time matchups.
Yeah, compelling league race, and then compelling nationally this year. CJ, thank you so much. Great to see you. Best to your mom. I get to see your brothers all summer. They give me joy every time I encounter them, because they bring such a love of the game as you do, and that's infectious, and we all benefit from it. So thank you. Great to spend time with you, and good luck in finishing up January and in the month of February.
Yeah, really appreciate your time. Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you this spring.
That's it for this week's episode of the Quintessential Podcast. Thank you to our guests. Thanks to our technical director, Dr. Nick Z. I want to thank you for listening. And of course, thanks to our sponsor, Axia Time. A watch, what a better gift than a ring. I've got a championship ring. It's collecting dust in a box. I wear watches all the time. Thank you, Axia Time. It's axiatime.com, and we'll see you next week.